Steve Martin, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the studio. Welcome to Liverpool.
Thanks. It's really good to be here. And we finally get to meet after all these years.
Yeah, I've done a lot of Teams or Zoom sessions.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago on a very interesting client. But this is where the audience will see if this is a true reflection, because I ripped it off your LinkedIn. So you have over 13 years of experience as an Agile coach, trainer, and mentor, and you specialize in developing world-class Scrum Masters and Agile coaches who drive high-performing teams and genuine organizational agility.
Mm-hmm.
Your mission is to raise the standards of Agile coaching, moving beyond frameworks to develop leaders who create real impact. Did you write
that's about
that?
Right. It's a bit of a mouthful, but that's about right.
Fair enough. So I think, as I pre-warned you, I go through people's LinkedIn profile and I'll find a little snippet that piques my interest. I think this was maybe a couple of weeks ago. So you put, how many years of engineering experience do you have? A genuine question for a recent Agile coach role advertised on LinkedIn. Sometimes I wonder exactly what people think the Agile coach role actually is. Have you seen similar random questions? Then post them in the comments. What triggered that, Steve?
Well, obviously the question itself was just a real eye opener for me, and I mean, I don't know about you. I get these a lot when all the way through my Agile career, and as a Scrum Master, you're being asked things like, must have software experience, must be able to cut code or whatever. And you think, actually, this is a real insight into the state, for me, the state of what people actually, what people actually see as agility or Agile coaching, Scrum mastery. There's a real misconception, and it's still to this day, it's a misconception. So it's become, I guess for me, a bit tiresome to still be able to having to sort of fight that battle, as it were. So yeah, it was one of those ones where you kind of go, frustration.
Where do you think it comes from, that attitude, that perception, that question?
I don't know. I think it's possibly related to this need for someone like an Agile coach to be able to speak the right language. So, if we are a technology company, we want somebody to come in and be able to speak in technology language. And as we know, that isn't necessarily the case. We need to be able to, as coaches, we need to be able to adapt and speak or be able to communicate in a way where business, technology, people can actually relate. So I think that maybe that's where it stems from, is that, looking at how, how we communicate within an organization, and people just see that that's really the point.
Yeah. So rewinding a bit then, what has the journey been for you at a higher level? Like, how did you get to the point of having 13 years of experience in an Agile coach? Like, what came before that, and how did you get into it?
Well, goodness. I mean, I was probably about 15 years of coasting. I did project management for a while. Sales, I was probably the world's worst salesperson, like ridiculously bad. I was a teacher for a while. So I was sort of just finding my way and finding the right career for me. And I landed a role in Scrum Mastery as in tech. It was one of those industries where it was like a real growing, like, this is the place to be. It was really funky at the time, sort of late 2000s, 2010, around then. And, being able to sort of move into that industry with very limited, I had no tech experience, but actually being able to sort of come in as a as a Scrum Master using my experience in project management. And it was kind of like I found my tribe, right? I've been in the corporate world for so long and kind of didn't really fit. It was always it's just bullshit for me. So actually coming in and into a new place and just feeling like I belonged. And then I just didn't look back from there. I spent 4 years in, really cutting my teeth as a Scrum Master, and then moved into contracting. And then that's where I sort of landed Agile coaching roles and using my experience in teaching and perhaps all sorts of, business and my commercial experience from before Agile.
Yeah.
Actually had some use because I was able to then talk in different levels and different areas, and that's for me what I really enjoyed. So that was around about sort of 2015, 16, and then moved around within various different big organizations supporting transformations, and actually building my experience in coaching from there. So I never realized, I never thought, ever dreamed that I would be running my own business, having to kind of deal with accountants and and actually have that independence.
Yeah.
I always thought that the success meant that you'd have to climb a ladder, but for me, it's actually been completely different than that. I've been working in, as a contractor, as an independent for a few years, and then around about 2020, when COVID hit, I was in between contracts, and I spent about 10 months out of contract, and that was brutal. That was really tough, really real pressure for me. Having to cover the mortgage, having to, just deal with all sorts of, personal challenges. And coming out of that, I realized that actually, and this is where IR35 started to really take shape as well. It started to impact the market. And so I was looking around and thinking, actually, the contract, the way that you contract now has to change. And so I was looking at, well, how do I adapt that? How do I de-risk being a contractor? So I was sort of, trying to find areas where I'd be working in, one contract, trying to find other contracts, but also sort of more transactional work as well. So, providing kind of training courses and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a bit of a long-winded approach round for how I got here. But
no, it's good. Like you touched on something really important and interesting, because I don't think many people took that option, or I don't think the penny dropped for a lot of freelancers. And I'm only going to use our community because that's the only community I know, until it was probably, well, now.
Yeah.
Now it's sort of, the dust is settled. People are starting to pivot. So I think you would probably, obviously did the right thing by recognizing that early.
Yeah, I mean, it's still not easy. I had to take on a permanent role about a year ago, because the market is just really tough. So you'd have, and it's full of, if you apply for a contract role, you're going to be probably about one of 100, 150. And there's a lot of mediocrity out there. So yeah, there is and I feel that big organizations still going through transformation are looking at, things like IR35 and changing the way that they're recruiting. So they would be looking at headcount more than bringing on freelancers.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the whole industry, I think, needs to evolve, and we need to adapt to it.
Has it been a tough challenge? Like there's all of that, because I've obviously noticed you've stepped up the, I suppose, broadly marketing over the past year or so. Has that been you said you were in sales, and using your words, you weren't the best salesperson. Like, have you found that a difficult transition, or has it become quite nice? Do you enjoy that side of it?
To be honest, it's a slog. Actually trying to find a niche. I started off marketing a consultancy, and I use that in a broader terms, because when the word consultancy is like, it's just me, right?
Yeah.
I'm going up against consultancies who are 300,000 strong. It's a slog. So when you're marketing and you're going out and saying, marketing is really what is agile. You're actually trying to kind of go, well, how do I pitch myself in a noisy street? I always compared it to being at Glastonbury without a microphone and trying to sing to 100,000 people.
Yeah.
It's really hard. So I'm very much into people like Daniel Priestley, who's wrote The Key Person of Influence. I've been reading his book recently, and he talks about micro niches and really finding a very, very small area and just focusing in on that. And that's essentially what I've been doing, is actually really looking at, going back to the summary that you've read out there about Agile coaches and Scrum masters. These are my people. This is where I grew up, essentially. And so I've set out the path that I can help them follow. So that's really where I'm focusing in on and helping support the development for them, because I've been there and I can actually talk to them in a way that say, well, I can help you get to.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. But it's a small place in a big wide area. There's so many facets to agility or agile practice, and where I've come from, trying to kind of be all things to all people, all organizations, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean that takes a lot of self-awareness to recognize that as well.
Yeah.
I'll swap the questions around, because one doesn't make sense without the other, really. But what does agile mean to you?
So I've been going around this one in my brain for the last few days, trying to kind of find what it actually does. And for me, it's culture. Culture is everything in an organization. Part of that is mindset. Mindset is the kind of go-to description of agile, but really it's culture, and actually it can make or break an organization. It would involve things like autonomy, customer centricity, but actually really having the culture and awareness for an organization, and it has to be organization wide. That we are going to give the ability, or have the ability, to move at pace, to be able to change direction at pace, based on market demands or market needs, trends. We have to be able to shift direction if needs be. I use the comparison to the oil tanker versus the Ferrari, and if you're sitting in an oil tanker and something changes, like the roadblock ahead, and you have to turn around, it's going to take a long time. If you're in a Ferrari doing that, it's actually going to be a lot easier, right? And that's for me is what agile really means. It's that capability, but it has to come from culture. It has to be what really drives how we think, but how we also operate.
And in your experience, what are the biggest challenges organizations, or you see organizations lean into, or maybe not lean into when you go into places?
Well, I wrote a book on this actually called Change Starts at the Very Top, and
Is that on Amazon?
it is on Amazon. Thanks for the plug.
The link will be in the comments.
Yeah. And it's all about leadership and leadership. So take a step back here. Transformation is really difficult, and I was very recently I've been sort of looking at how transformation is right now. I see a lot of posts on LinkedIn. You probably do the same, where people say,
probably right then.
yeah, you probably do. Yeah. People say, "Oh, Agile is dead."
Oh no, I don't
whatever.
That, no.
You don't like that.
My mortgage depends on it not being.
It's such a it's just like a throwaway comment, isn't it? Clickbait.
It's easy content.
Easy content.
Like,
yeah.
This isn't not about my opinion, but
well, no, it's all valid. But Agile isn't dead. It's actually as prominent as needed as it has ever been. For me, it's transformation is dead. The way that we transform, or we aim to transform an organization, is now it's so difficult, and it fails simply because an organization or leadership that want to go agile, there's no tangible outcome for them. Digital transformation was, I wouldn't say easy. Don't quote me on this.
There's the title.
There we go. Digital transformation.
Steve Martin said digital transformation is easy.
But digital transformation had a tangible outcome.
Yeah.
And also for me, it was that's we change this shape over here to that. Agile transformation is I have to change, right? And that is the difficult part. So, if you're a leader going through that and you are faced with challenges all over the organization and beyond, and you see this agile initiative being put in over here for an organization that is trying to kind of maneuver itself, the oil tanker, it's so difficult to sort of keep pace with that. Or to keep the momentum going when we have shareholders, we have a commercial responsibility to actually keep ourselves relevant, keep ourselves competitive in the marketplace. And so the first sort of threat of pain, or first sign of chaos, means that we'll revert back to type. And so Agile kind of gets it's not really working for us straight away. So I feel that the sorts of challenges that I see when I come in is that we don't really have the conversations like, this is going to be really painful. This is going to take about 18 months, 2 years at least. People don't really want to have those honest conversations.
I'm smiling, and you may not remember. Do you remember the change that we were involved in?
Yes.
And I think and please correct me on this because my memory is hazy, but I think we joined this engagement on, say, a Monday. On the previous week, they sent about 30 people on a Scrum Master course.
No, it's more. The 400 people on it.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
And then it was like,
we're Agile.
You're all now Scrum teams, and people were like, "What the flipping heck's going on here?" And I remember us going, "What is this?" Because we weren't involved.
We weren't.
I think what had happened was the consultancy which we were engaged with had done the training, not realize. I don't think they'd really signed up to do anything afterwards, and then they were asked to do something afterwards.
Yeah,
and then it was like we had all of these squads or teams, or I can't remember what the terminology they used was, and it was like
No,
none of that pre-work you alluded to had been done.
No,
And that was mental.
It was basically, it was like they were all in this training course. It's like, flick a switch, we're agile now.
And they were a marketing group as well.
They were marketing. One of the first questions I asked was, well, what's the measure? How are we measuring success? And it was like, well, we want to run campaigns fast. We want to, run a campaign in 2 weeks, sprint. Yeah. It's like, okay, that's,
Oh yeah, that was.
But so that you sit and you hear these sort of things all the time. A lot of organizations are on their third, fourth iteration of agile transformation now, and it seems to be a slog in terms of how it's set up, how it's structured. People like ourselves aren't bought in at the right level at the right time to have those kind of serious conversations. Are you familiar with the Virginia Satir model of change?
I am, but I'm sure people would get value from it if you.
Yeah. So basically, it's a curve downwards and then up and over into transformation. So it'll start off with, like, we have a problem, we have pain, like we have a threat, or there might be some commercial or disruption issues, market issues that are going on. We have to change, and so there's that. First of all, it's that awareness, that realization, and then it's a decision. Well, what do we do about it? So it's almost like we go from status quo to a kind of a change initiative, and that change initiative, be it agile transformation, it's like, okay, what do we need to do? Let's go and bring in training, bring in coaching, and go on this journey. Everyone has a journey. The dip then. It goes into chaos. Okay, so you have to have that area of chaos, a bit like a football team who's had some success, and they've got to have a real painful rebuild, right?
I'm a Wrexham fan, mate, so we're in that.
Glory to you guys.
I have to caveat now every time and say it was before Rob and Ryan. I remember the holy Trinidad and Tobago trinity of Hector Sam, Dennis Lawrence, and Carlos Edwards.
I think you've just lost about 90% of your listenership.
Yeah, but I feel better about saying I'm not a glory hunter.
Well, no, absolutely. But there is always, like Man United, for example, are going through a painful rebuild.
Yeah.
And first sign of chaos, first sign of pain or problem is sack the manager.
Yeah.
Again. And this is what happens in this area where you see this chaos, this curve. Organizations will give up at that point. They will revert back to type because it's not working, right? We're not seeing the value of it. We don't see these kind of sunlit uplands at the end. We're going through too much pain, too many problems, and actually this is not worth it. And so that chaos, that painful rebuild doesn't really see the light of day. We don't see the outcomes of it and that real transformation, which will happen in the up curve. And so organizations then go through that process, realize that it's not working, and then go back to the status quo. And then, it's like a cycle or a vicious circle, a bit like a high performing team or this storming model. So for transformation needs to change the way that we transform organizations, be it, how do we then do this in a way that can keep an organization to go through that chaos, or maybe do it organically where it's a slow adjustment over time, a long time. That's essentially where we're at the moment. We have to realize, we have to accept that agile transformation in its current form just does not work.
So to counter that, then I suppose people will be wondering, well, when you go into an organization or a business, could you allude to what the first month looks like and how you go about starting to build those blocks?
Yeah, I mean the first thing I do straight away is I want to understand like what is the strategy here? What does success look like? How do we, and where's the buy-in? What am I dealing with?
Yeah.
And really then identifying the people who I use the analogy of the sorts of people that used to queue up outside of an Apple store and on the iPhone release. They would camp out overnight around the corner.
I saw people the other morning in Liverpool city centre. Have you heard of the shop called Uniqlo?
Yes, Japanese.
Yeah, I think I don't. Yeah, we'll fact check that, but I think they are. Yeah, it still happens. I was walking through the town to work the other day. People queuing for a clothes shop. They must have been given a free giveaway. So it's not.
There must have been.
It's not back in the day. I saw the crazy bastards doing it the other day, just for anyway.
Yeah, well, these are the sorts of people that you want to identify at the early stages of a transformation or a change program, because they're the ones who are early adopters. They're the ones who are going to help to build momentum.
Yeah.
So the first 100 days is really looking for those sorts of people and trying to tease out the ones who are not quite ready, who are not quite on board, who are just focused solely on what they've got to do, and then really start to build a community and then help build momentum. So, we'll be looking for areas of, where are the big pain points, where are the big problems, probably running some OKR sessions and defining, key measures, key objectives, that kind of thing. Yeah. And then just offering to help the ones who are looking for it, And
this is a personal question. What do you do to the people who are just like that? Not interested in you. You're just another consultant. You're not technical enough. I hate you.
I hate you. I don't even know you, but I hate you.
Yeah. Like, what's your personal approach to that scenario? Because I'm still trying to learn and grow in that area. Because my cards on the table, I just go, well, I'm just not going to bother because I'm not going to beg.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the right approach, if I'm being honest. If I'm being completely open.
I don't think it's the wrong approach, to be fair. And actually, old me would have battled against it, would have been the ones, would have been trying to convince.
Love me.
Yeah, yeah. Spend time. Let me work with you. I can change you a bit. Like, I can. and actually, there you can waste an awful lot of time doing that.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I've come to realize. Experience does help a lot. Well, I've been burnt, and actually, the real your approach is fine. I think actually just accepting that they're not quite ready and appreciating that what I feel they need to see is they need to see it working. So focusing heavily in on what are the quick wins? What can we do very quickly to really help those laggards, the ones a bit like me in the old days of the iPhone. I wouldn't have camped out around the corner. I think it was iPhone 3 was my first smartphone, essentially.
Yeah.
But those sorts of the approach says people need to see. They need to see it happening. They need to see
it's evidence,
receipts. Clear measures. Because that whole thing, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work here. We're too whatever
special.
Too special. And we hear this a lot, right? So actually, along with the community, getting some evidence, getting some success, little bits of success that you can really showcase and show off. Another thing that I was really sort of over the last few years, I was really very, maybe it's my Britishness, but being resistant to showcase and show off. We're we're a bit
I mean,
anti
you're in the middle of a studio with the lights on, mate.
I know.
So,
Look at me. But you need to do that. We need to celebrate success, wins, and then others will see. And there's like, we need to build the momentum so that people can actually jump on board the ship. Otherwise, they're not going to bother.
Fair enough. What is the Agile Master Academy? I put that too far at the list, but now it's what is the Agile Master Academy? I think it, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sort of trying to thread all the bits together, but I'm assuming it's come from that want to pivot and have a different offering, niche down, etc.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it's really born out of the lack of standards and expertise that I see in the industry. I saw a stat the other day, something like 450,000 Scrum Masters are certified Scrum Masters in the industry. On LinkedIn, it's something like 130,000. So you can see just how like it's big numbers, and we see a lot of average, people who will get the badge, get the accreditation, get all of read the books, watch the videos, but I've interviewed a fair amount coming in through, that part of the role of being a consultant is actually being an SME in terms of interviewing for other coaches and Scrum Masters. My goodness! So within the first 30 seconds, you already know that they're just poor. So the standards, it's varied, and what I'm trying to do is really help the ones that have the right attitude, maybe not the right level of expertise, and really build them up into it, and actually help sort of develop really good, strong, quality coaches.
And is that through what is it, like a digital course? Is it one-to-ones? Like
it's actually it's a program of development. It's 6 months. So there's the one program is the accelerator program, and it's for Scrum Masters who are about 2-3 years into the role, who have that real aspiration to want to become an Agile coach. So, and it's group mentoring, it's assessments, it's have you heard of the Capstone project?
Loosely, yeah.
Loosely.
People.
So Capstone is really about validation. So you build up a portfolio of stories, and applying your learning through the program in the real world, so that you're able to then tell the story at the end and say, well, look, this was the problem. This is how I helped overcome the challenge, create success. And these were the outcomes, measurable outcomes, and that's the real rubber stamp. They also go through the 2-day certified Agile Coach course.
Is that
I see Agile.
That's the one.
So they will get that accreditation, but it's earned.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
cheap dip.
And I say to learners at the beginning, I said, well, you can go and do your 2-day course right now and become an Agile coach, but you go through a 6-month intense program and come out of it strong. And so there's three elements to it. There's 6 pillars, in terms of framework. There's 6 pillars, but there's really 3 core sort of foundations that are authority, and that's not job title. That's walking into a room and actually having gravitas, so people listen. There's influence, being able to sort of help change minds, change perspectives, and give, and actually be able to sort of influence improvements and change. And then there's impact, and impact is the real key. That's like being able to measure the impact that you're having as an Agile coach, so that you're really showcasing your return on investment. So when you're going into an organization, you're being able to say, well, look, this is the impact I'm going to have. This is how we're going to be able to see it, so that financial director at the end can go, that was worth it.
Yeah. So many people in our industry and I've said this on countless episodes, I still don't understand why people don't want to keep their receipts and say, this is what I've done. This is, whether it's pounds and pence, or I don't know, other methods, or just a commentary of this is what I did and before and afters. I don't understand it as business owners, because freelancers are very quick to point out that they're business owners, in my experience. But in this market, you've just got to do it. You've got to show your worth. Otherwise, you can't be expecting 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever rates are out there, pound a day, just to be there and just to be there.
Yeah, and actually, like, anecdotally, so if you go in for a job interview and you've got like anecdotal, stories. I did this for this company and this for this company. So that sounds great, but ChatGPT could give you that.
Yeah.
What was the actual impact?
What did it lead to?
What was the impact? Was it market? Were you able to reduce churn? Were you able to help increase customer acquisition? In terms of like the sorts of things that CEOs, finance directors are really, really interested about. So impact is really key, and we have to, like you said, we have to stand out from the crowd, because otherwise you just get lost in that noise. So see, the academy is really about building a not a community. I suppose it is a community, but it's high standards coaches, and there is a group within, which is Takumi, which is Japanese, means to be the master of your craft, and Takumi Chai, which means to be the tribe of masters. So that's my kind of mission, is really just to bring, I would say, to help really good, strong Scrum Masters, bring them into a place where they can actually have real impact for organizations.
And how's it going so far? And how long has it been running?
It's fairly new, so just getting it off the ground, really. And starting to kind of, sort of shape the program and kind of get that moving. So we're sort of kicking off in the next few weeks.
And is that alongside everything else we're up to as well?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. In terms of the day job.
Yeah.
So, that's something to try and keep going alongside the, what's paying the mortgage for now.
Yeah, fair enough. What else is on your mind, Steve? Anything that springs to mind that I haven't? Is there a question that I should have asked, which I haven't?
I think there's sort of, in terms of like maybe the future of Agile, like where are things going?
Yeah. So what's the future of Agile and where's it going, Steve?
Thanks for asking.
Feedback that.
Yeah, no. So the one thing I think I've mentioned about impact, but I also mentioned about specialism.
Yeah.
And in order to be really effective in your role, you have to specialize in certain areas. There's new frameworks and new techniques coming in all the time. The one that's really that I'm really grabbing onto at the moment is Obeya.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, that's what is that? Because I've heard you post about it and stuff like that.
Yeah, Obeya is for me, it's the next evolutionary step for Agile. So okay. It's all about communication. Originated from Toyota, so they're obviously the instigators, the creators of Kanban. But Obeya is really pitched at portfolio and executive level for visual signals, visual representation of information, and being able to make fast, rapid decisions, but in a collaborative space. So if you think about, and we'll know this from, certainly since COVID times, it's got a lot worse, but people just on back-to-back meetings, constantly having to, essentially communicate and pass information and, update on progress and all these things that just go on, this noise. It's burns people out, right? So Obeya is it takes all of that and it streamlines it into this really effective, very short space of time. So bringing the people to the information rather than the other way around. And so instead of, like, if you've got 20 people on a call and you're going one to one to one to one to one, right? How are we getting on with this widget? We're here, there, we're nearly there or whatever, or we're stuck here and things. The representation of visual rule, ideally it's physical, but there are digital tools available to enable it. So we have to adapt. But you've got people in the room that are focusing in on where's the pain, what do we need to do to actually clear the road, rather than just waste our time on the things that are going okay. And the onus is on continuous improvement, as is the sort of Toyota production system culture, and it's also on collaboration, solving problems, making rapid decisions that are going to impact and positively affect outcomes. So it's powerful stuff. It's really powerful, but it's in its very early stages in terms of maturity. So half the battle, I think, just like Agile many years ago, is all about marketing and how to promote it. It's very prominent in the Netherlands, which is where the Obeya Association is based. They have a summit every year, and it's getting bigger.
Did you go to that? I see you were at some of
I gave a talk there, it's potentially, as I say, the next kind of evolutionary step.
Heard it here first.
Yes. Yeah.
What's next for you?
Well, for me, is getting the academy off the ground. Starting to run programs for aspiring Agile coaches. Can I do a plug?
Well, I didn't want to interrupt, but if you look down that camera, I think.
Yep.
Where can we get in touch? What's the website? Where are you? Go for it.
So if you're an aspiring Agile coach, what you can do is you can take a readiness assessment where you get a free report, and that report will actually help sort of give you some guidance on how to get into become an Agile coach, and come and join a challenge workshop that I'm running in a couple of weeks.
What's the website? Where do they go?
We'll put the website in the link. It's a complex one.
And where are people right to reach out to you? Where's the best place for them to do that?
They can catch me on LinkedIn. So I'm Steve Martin, Agile Coach on LinkedIn.
I'll put it in the links as well. And your books on Amazon.
Books on Amazon.
Which is called what again?
Change Starts at the Very Top.
Yeah, again, that'll be in the links, mate. Anything else?
Well, just to say thanks. It's been a real pleasure to get the chance to meet you after all these years.
Yeah, that's likewise. Thanks for making the trek up. It's a nice sunny day, which is always positive.
Always good.
I recommend, if you've got time, go around the docks, get an ice cream. Go and, Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jack.